So, our next speaker is Captain Philip Lindholm. He currently serves as a captain chaplain for the Washington Air National Guard and is board certified through the National Association of Veterans Affairs. Captain Lindholm was a Rhodes Scholar finalist and graduated with his doctorate degree from Oxford University. He's got separate master's degrees in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Today, he comes to present a talk to us entitled The Secret to a Meaningful Life. So please help me welcome Captain Philip Lindholm.
Good morning. I want to tell you a secret, which I learned in my very first years working as a hospital chaplain. It's a secret that I studied in my doctoral work at Oxford, but it turns out that death was my best teacher. And it wasn't until working in the shadow of death in the hospital that I learned the secret to a meaningful life. I'd like to share that with you today, exactly as I found it through my encounters with three incredible patients named Robert, Rosemary, and John. I met Robert on a sunny spring morning. His blinds were drawn in his room, though, and he was, in fact, on suicide watch. His 88-year-old frame sat slumped at the edge of his bed. Good morning, Robert. My name is Philip. I'm one of the chaplains here, and I came to see how you're doing. He said he wasn't doing well, but narrated tales to me of an incredible life, growing up with 8 brothers, an all-American rower in college, being married to the same girl, his high school sweetheart, for over 6 decades, having 3 beautiful children and a successful and lucrative career in finance. Robert had done everything right, carefully tending to his health, his wealth, and his relationships. But now he felt life was meaningless, like it was one long journey of inevitable loss, and his only hope left in life was to hasten death. That is not how this story is supposed to go, right? I mean, we know that health and wealth does not a meaningful life make. But Robert had also tended to his relationships, and the longest and most robust study ever into well-being, the Grant and Glueck study out of Harvard, says that if you prioritize your relationships, you are set up for a happy life. Robert taught me otherwise that day. Robert taught me that just like health and wealth, relationships are transient. They come and go, even the best ones. There will come a day when we have to say goodbye to everyone that we love, and another day when they will have to say goodbye to us. And in those moments, we will know, as Robert did, that being healthy and wealthy and having great relationships is not enough. We're still missing the secret to a meaningful life. Rosemary taught me that secret. I met Rosemary on her final days in hospice. She was given just days to live. She was a beautiful and kind soul, but she had not led what most of us would consider to be a good life. She drank way too much. She had a series of failed relationships and could never seem to hold down a job. But she did not find life meaningless the way that Robert had. Hi, Rosemary. It's so nice to see you. She waved me closer and said shakily, I am so grateful that you're here. She then proceeded to tell me all the other things in life that she was grateful for. For all those hard moments that had made her stronger, for the ragtag cast of characters that had so enriched her story, and most of all for her children, who had been her compass in a wayward and stormy world for what is right and true and good. She did not have the health and wealth and long-term relationships that Robert had, but she was thankful for her journey and found meaning in all of it. And in that way, on that day, Rosemary taught me that the secret to a meaningful life is gratitude. Being able to look back and be thankful for all those moments we had to love and grow and feel alive. My third and final story is of a man who showed me gratitude and how it made me feel like I mattered in the world, like I too could lead a meaningful life. His name was John. I met John and his wife on my very first on-call shift as a chaplain. I still remember getting the page at 6 a.m. for labor and delivery, and I was excited because I was going to go bless a brand new baby boy. So I ran out of my door half-dressed, sped to the hospital, and kind of did that half-walk run you do when you're excited. But as I was walking, I could feel the air change. And I turned the corner, and I remember seeing a door off to my left, and it had a rose on it. And I didn't know what that rose meant, but it felt ominous. As I drew close to the nurses' station, I saw 4 nurses, and they were all completely silent. Now, I don't know if you spend any time around nurses, but they are very rarely silent. They are superheroes who are doing 12 things at once and yelling vitals and telling jokes all along the way. These nurses were silent. And as I drew close, one of them simply raised her arm and pointed at the rose-laden door. I opened that door, and I found a number of people inside, holding balloons and small stuffed animals. Mom was on the bed, and Dad, John, was leaning over her. They were all so still, just like the nurses, so quiet, and nothing was moving, except for the nurse, who held the dead baby boy in her arms. In that moment, I was terrified. I had studied and lectured at some of the best universities in the world, and none of them had prepared me for this. I had no words. My toolkit was gone. And so I walked up and said the only thing that I could say. My name is Philip. I'm one of the chaplains here, and I wonder if I can sit with you. Mom nodded yes, and Dad, John, nodded yes. And I took my seat at the edge of the bed. And that's when all hell completely broke loose. Alarms started wailing, machines were going off, and Mom slowly closed her eyes as her blood pressure tanked. The nurse ran to the door, screamed for the doctor, who came in with more machines, carts. The room was in complete and utter chaos. And that's when John turned to me, and in the midst of that, panicked, asked, "Can you pray?" Yeah, I can pray. I can absolutely pray. And I prayed aloud for what felt like an eternity. God, I pray that you would fill this room with your healing and your love and your strength. And I prayed and I prayed. And on the inside, I was pleading, Jesus, do not let this woman die on this table. Do not let this woman die on this table. Nurses were scrambling all around us. And then the machines stopped screaming. Mom slowly opened her eyes and grabbed John by the scruff of the shirt and kissed him. And we all breathed for the first time in a long time. And that's when John turned to me and embraced me and said, "Thank you. Thank you. You should do this forever." Oh, those words. This man had just lost his only child and nearly lost his wife. And on his worst day, he gave thanks to a stranger. And it made me feel like I could lead a meaningful life. I believe we all can lead meaningful lives. I believe that these stories of Robert, Rosemary, and John demonstrate more than any study or statistic ever could, that where you find gratitude, meaning will be there. That if you can look back upon your life and be thankful for all those moments to love and grow and feel alive, meaning will be there. If death can be our teacher and gratitude our guide, meaning will be there. Gratitude, that's an idea worth spreading. Thank you.